Hi everyone, I hope you're really well. It's been a while since I filmed a video on this channel, and that's because Amy's daddy passed away and I really wasn't in the mood to put anything out there because we're still coming to terms with things, and I didn't want to do any like funny or overly private videos, so I've taken a little YouTube break, and today I'm back with the girls and boys baby name tag. I've seen this doing the rounds on YouTube, and my sister and I, we used to be obsessed with baby names. We literally talked about them all the time. We had this little name book that my parents used when they were naming my sister, I believe, and we would just go through it and write down names of our potential babies, and we loved it. So when I saw this tag, I was like, you definitely have to join in with this one. And so I am. There are 15 questions altogether, I believe. 16. I've written them all down here, or printed them out. And I thought we'll dive straight in there. Question number 1 is, what is your favourite boy and girl's name from the top UK names list of 2015? I obviously had to research that because I had no clue what was on there. And I've written all my answers down here. And my favourite girls' names on the list are Abigail, Willow, Amber, Amy and Alice for girls. And the boys' names are Harry, James, Alexander and Jackson. Second question is, which names on the list do you like least? And everyone else said, oh, I feel bad about saying the names I don't like because people might get offended. But obviously we all have a different taste in names, and I'm not judging you for your child's name. It's just my personal preference. And so the names I don't really like on the list are Olivia, Evelyn, Lola, Layla, Macy, Ivy, Violet, Mariam, Thea, Nancy and Lydia for girls. Funnily, it was much easier for me to find names that I don't like than names that I do actually like, but I guess that's just me. And the boys' names that I'm not overly keen on are Theo, Jaden, Ruben, Elijah or Elijah, however you want to pronounce it, Liam, Ronnie and Sonny. And if you like those names, that's completely fine with me. They're just names that I can't picture myself ever using for any future children I might have. Question number 3 was, if you had twins, what would you name them? And it's girl girl, girl boy or boy boy. And after some contemplation, I came up with the girl girl combination of either Amy and Alice or Alice and Alexandra. For boys, I came up with Harry and Alexander or Jackson and Alexander. And for boy-girl twins, I came up with Jackson and Alexandra, because I think they're quite strong names and I like them. Question number 4 is, if you had children, any gender, their first names all have to start with the same letters, what would their names be? And I thought about this, and I went for 4 girls with the same name, 4 boys with the same name, and then 2 boys and 2 girls. Not with the same name, what am I talking about? With the same initial. So for 4 girls, I choose the letter A because I've got a slight obsession with the letter A in girls' names. And the names are Amy, Alice, Alexandra and Amber. For boys, I've got Jake, Jackson, James and Jensen. And for girls and boys, I've got Amy, Alexandra, I messed this up. I actually wrote down 2 names starting with A and 2 names starting with J. So I'll have to think about that. Maybe Amy Alexandra, Alexander, although that's a bit tricky, isn't it? And maybe, what nice boy's name is there with an A? Archie. I quite like that. So that would be the ones. There's also been the question of, if you could change your own name to anything you like, what would it be? And quite frankly, I'm quite happy with my name and I would keep it. When I was younger, I always thought, what if I had a different name? And like when I was 11, I think, I was quite into the names of Michaela and Jennifer. No idea why, or I do have an idea, because they were the main characters on a TV series that I really liked. But I'm quite glad that I have my name. I'm happy with it, and I think it's quite a timeless and classic name, and I like it and I would happily keep it. I always quite wanted a middle name though. I don't have one. And I always thought it would be quite cool to have one. I've got no idea what I'd choose though. It would have to be something with 2 syllables though, I think. So it like ties in with the rest of my name. Obviously my first name is Carolyn, or Caroline in German. And my second name is Marder, so it would be Caroline Marder. So it's got a nice flow to it. I don't know. I'm a bit funny about syllables and everything having a nice melody. I'm like that when I'm writing, so would be no different when it comes to names. But let's stop talking about that and get on to question number 6. And that would be, what's your favorite animal inspired name? Honestly, I thought, animal inspired names, and then I had to have a look on the internet because I couldn't, like off the top of my head, I couldn't come up with that many. And then I saw some online and they weren't half as bad as I thought they would be. The most obvious one, Amy pointed out to me, and that was Leo, for lion, obviously. I think that's quite a nice name, and my friend's little boy is called Leo. So that's nice. And there's also Jonah, which is Hebrew for dove, Ari, which is Hebrew for lion, or Everett, which is Old English and means brave, strong boar. I mean, thinking about it, you probably wouldn't want to name your child after a boar, but if you leave the meaning of the name aside, I think it's quite a nice, strong name for a boy. And for girls, I like the names Raven, which is quite obviously a bird, and Darren, which is Welsh for blackbird. I didn't know that, I looked that up obviously, but those are names I really like, and they're not too out there, I think, because I'm not keen on those names. I quite like classic names and timeless names, and not too, I don't know, too crazy. Like, I couldn't be a celebrity because kind of everyone expects them to come out with something ridiculously crazy and out there and creative, and I just quite like normal names. And question number 7 is, what is my favorite color inspired name? And that one was super easy for me. So for a girl, I would go with Amber, and you laugh about the reason, but when Amy watched Sophia the First, I always loved her stepsister Amber. She was like really like feisty and maybe even a little bit arrogant, but deep within she had like a nice personality, and I always find her incredibly funny. And I really like the name because obviously it starts with an A, and I've got this little A thing going on. And for boy, I would go with the name Grey. It's nice, timeless, and I think baby Grey is quite cute, isn't it? And it's definitely a name I could picture a baby and an older person with, because there are some names I just, for the sake of it, can't picture a baby ever having. Like, what about baby Ronnie? I'm like, Ronnie is one of those names that I don't know. I always immediately think of Ronnie O'Sullivan, the like snooker player, and no, just doesn't work for me. But who knows, if that's your cup of tea, go ahead. Question number 8 is, what are your top 3 favorite boy names? And they are Jake, Jackson and Alexander. And question 9 is, what are your top 3 girls' names? And they are Amy, because that's obviously what my little girl is called, Alison, which is her middle name, named after her grandma, and Alexandra, because I've always liked that name. I had like a baby doll called Alexandra when I was little, and a friend in kindergarten. Maybe that's why I'm so keen on that name, but I really, really like it. And it's one of the names that works across all languages, I think. So it's Alexandra in German, and I think it's Alexandra, no idea, in French, or Alexandra in English, or Alexandra if you're American. But yeah, I think it's like a nice name that works in every single language, and yeah, I really like it. Question number 10 is, what is your favorite celebrity baby name? And obviously I had to Google that. I mean, you do hear celebrity names like on the news whenever they had a baby, and you either go like, oh yeah, quite like that, that's normal, or you go like, yeah, no way would I ever name my child that. And you don't really remember them in case they're like really out there, like Apple or Moses or stuff like that. But I had a look at like the last 10 years of celebrity baby names, and I found a few that I really like. Funny enough, they're all girls' names, which is a bit weird, but when I was pregnant, I didn't even consider any boys' names for Amy, because somehow I just knew I had a girl. So we didn't really even talk about boys' names. So the celebrity baby names that I really like are Harper, which is obviously the name of the Beckham's daughter. I like Willow, which is the name of Pink's daughter. I like Winter, which is the name of Gretchen Moll and Todd Kip Williams. I've got no idea who they are, what they do, or what they're famous for, but I really like the name. And I also love the name Mila, which is the name of a model called Elsa Benitez. I'm sorry, I've got no idea who she is, never seen her before, but I love the name Mila. And with that name, we also come to question number 11. It's about my guilty pleasure name. And I think I would choose Mila for it, because when I was, I don't know how old I was, but when I was like younger, maybe 9 to 12, there was a show on German television called Mila Superstar, and Mila was a volleyball player in Japan, and I loved the show, so I always thought I would name a child Mila. I really like it, and funny enough, it's not that out there anymore. I know someone whose daughter is called Mila, and I love the name. And when I was younger, I always thought, oh no, can't name your child Mila. Everyone would start singing the theme tune of the show, and because it was massive in Germany, every girl my age watched it. And I was like, no, can't do that. But now I think it's become more acceptable. So I think I would actually choose that name. Question number 12. What is my most hated, or what are my most hated baby names? Hate is a strong word, but there are names that I would never, ever consider for my child. I don't care if they were family names. I would not ever name my child them. And those names are, for girls, Mandy, Sandy, Peggy, although my auntie's called Peggy and I love her dearly. Not keen on the name. And Jacqueline. I've got, no, just not happening. I've got associations with those names, and also you can't really picture baby Jacqueline, can you? It's like, oh, look at cute little Jacqueline. No. And I've got a really, I don't know, maybe I should drink something. And the boys' names I picked that I really don't like are Dennis, Kevin, Brian, and Keith, and Ronnie. Like, no. I don't know, is it only Fulton Horses with Ronnie? You just always like picture someone, I don't know, scatterbrained, a bit silly and useless when you hear that name. I couldn't do it. It's like you kind of set the destiny for your child with a name like that, and yeah, I wouldn't do it. And number 12 is baby names that were inspired by a food or drink. And I was like, obviously they're like apple and pear, and I'm like, yeah, not happening. I wouldn't name my child that. But then I did a little bit of research, and for a boy's name I came up with Benedict, obviously ex-Benedict. And for girls' names there was Charlotte, which can also be a cake, which I didn't know. So it would be Charlotte for a girl and Benedict for a boy, which you could shorten to Ben. And there's also the name Kane for a boy, obviously going like sugar cane. And I quite like that too. It's like really strong, very like quite unusual. I don't know anyone called Kane. And yeah, I like that. So Benedict, Kane and Charlotte. And number 13 is names that are inspired by a month or a season. And you'll laugh at me, but I like 3 out of 4 seasons as baby names. They're summer, autumn and winter. Funnily, they're all girls' names and I love them. And I also really like April, going with my A theme. So I would go for those. And question number 14. Choose a baby name from a movie. I was clever there. I went for Alexander again because there's the Alexander the Great movie. And for a girl I went with Amelie, The Wonderful World of Amelie, I believe. I've got no idea if that's the name in English, but it's something close to that in German. I've never watched the film, but I quite like the name, and once again it fits within my A theme. And the last question is choose a name that's already in your family. This is so arrogant, but I would actually choose my own name because I quite like it, or I would choose Anna, which is my nan's middle name, or I would choose Alison, which is Amy's middle name and her English grandma's name. So those would be my choices. I would love to know what your choices would be. Baby names you like, dislike, aren't really sure about, or those who are completely against. And as this is a tag, I'm choosing 3 people who I'd love to answer these questions. And they are Jenny from Mummy Mishaps, Naela from Die Gundi, which is a German channel which I really enjoy, and Louisa. So I hope you join in. I can't wait to see your answers, and take care everyone. Bye bye.